Hi everyone, welcome to the Exploration Gaming channel, where I show you how to master ESO with creative builds. I'm Marco, the Bob Ross of ESO, and I'll be guiding you through this every step of the way. So let's get started. Today I'm in snowy Rothgar to share with you the first of two amazing Frost Warden builds that'll make you unstoppable in the game. If you like this kind of content, please hit the like button and subscribe to get notified when I upload new videos. It's free, and it actually helps me quite a lot. So why are Frost Wardens so awesome right now? Well, thanks to the Firesong Update 36, ZOS gave them a huge boost in DPS with some passive buffs that you don't want to miss. And let me break them down for you. The first buff is in the Animal Companion skill line. The Advanced Species passive now increases our critical damage by 4% for every Animal Companion ability slotted. That means we want to always have our furry friend the bear pet as our ultimate choice. We have two additional passive buffs from our Winter's Embrace class line that make us Masters of Frost. The first one is Glacial Presence, which boosts our chance of chilling enemies with our Winter's Embrace skills by 200%. And by the way, we have 3 of those skills slotted on our bar. It also makes the chilled status effect deal 858 more damage, and that's really incredible. The next great passive buff is Piercing Cold, which gives us 2% more damage with everything we do, but if we're using an ice staff, that goes up to 12%. Can you believe that? An extra 12% damage just for being cool, literally. And of course, as a Frost Warden, we'll be using that ice staff. So a quick note on where to put ability points regarding passives. You want all of your racials, all of your class passives, all of your destruction staff weapon passives, and all of your light armor passives, especially concentration for that huge spell penetration bonus. Now, we don't have time to talk about all the great passive bonuses and exactly what they do, but trust me, they are huge and very important to this build. Now let's look at the armor sets that make this build even better. I wanted to go for a thematic approach and use sets that fit that frost theme, and guess what? They work really well. The monster set, as you might have guessed, is Iceheart, which drops from Direfrost Keep or can be purchased at the Undaunted Guild or the Golden Vendor in Cyrodiil. You want the Head and Shoulders in Lightweights and the Divine trait with Max Magicka enchants. One piece gives us 641 critical chance, and the second piece gives us both offense and defense. Now when we crit, which is very often, we have a 20% chance to get a shield that protects us from almost 5,000 damage for 6 seconds. And while that shield is up, we deal around 900 damage per second to all enemies that are near us. So don't be afraid to get close and personal with those bosses. The next set is Frostbite, which is a light set from Blackwood, or you can buy it from other players. Again, you want the Divine trait and Max Magicka enchants on everything. 2 pieces gives us weapon and spell damage, 3 pieces gives us extra crit chance, 4 pieces gives us a little more weapon and spell damage, and 5 pieces gives us 8% more frost damage and another 4% more damage to enemies that happen to be chilled. Now remember those passive boosts we talked about? These stack well with those, and our frost attacks will hit like a truck. The final 5-piece set I chose is Winter's Respite. Now it may not be the best of the best, but it works so well and it looks so cool that I decided to just go with it. Now if you want to see my other Frost Warden build where I focus on maximizing damage output, subscribe to the channel because it's coming soon. For this build, we of course need an ice staff. I have a Winter's Respite ice staff with a magic enchantment and the Charge trait. Now I picked Charged because it gives us a huge boost to our chance of applying the status effects, which is important for this build and proccing that chilled effect. I also have all Winter's Respite jewelry pieces. I only upgraded them to purple and kept the Arcane trait, but Bloodthirsty would be awesome if you have enough resources to swing that. Winter's Respite gives us more magicka recovery for 2 items, more max magicka for 3 and 4 items, and the 5th item creates that wonderful circle of frost that heals us and our allies for almost 2,700 every 2 seconds for a total of 10 seconds. Now let's talk about which abilities we're slotting for our Frosty Warden. We're using only one weapon ability, and all the other skills come from our specific Warden class. First, Blue Betty, which counts as an animal companion. Now the Betty Netch gives us nearly 5,000 in magicka over 25 seconds, and it also gives us major brutality and sorcery, increasing weapon and spell damage by 20%. The second slot is for Arctic Blast, which gives us an instant heal for 7,500. Then it generates a wintry wind dot that lasts for 20 seconds. This can both stun the enemies and do frost damage, giving us another higher chance to apply that chilled effect. The third slot is Unstable Wall of Frost from the weapon line. This deals 936 frost damage every second for 6 seconds. It also gives us a frost shield and applies minor breach to chilled enemies. Now you want to let this ability tick down because it ends with a nice 3,600 point explosion. The fourth ability is Winter's Revenge. This conjures icy shards, dealing 900 damage every second for 12 seconds. We're a chilly dot warden here. The damage is increased by 30% if we're wielding a destruction staff, and of course we are. It also slows enemies down and gives us an enhanced chance to apply the chilled effect. Ability number 5 is Ice Fortress. This gives us a cloak of ice, giving us nearly 6,000 physical and spell resistance for 30 seconds. But this is a major flex spot. I also like the alternative of putting in Soothing Spores here, or Deep Fissure, for an added animal companion and lots more damage. There are lots of things you could experiment with in that 5th slot, depending on your situation in-game and whether you think you need more healing or a little more power and destruction. The ultimate is always Wild Guardian. The bear pet does a ton of damage and also stuns enemies, and when used as the ultimate does 10,000 damage, which is increased by 100% if the enemy is near death. So our Grizzly is also a bit of an executioner. Here's a quick review of our slotted abilities. Now this build was designed as a 1-bar build, but since we do have that back bar free, I put on a Maelstrom bow and a bunch of bow abilities for really long fights. It's up to you what you slot on your back bar here. You won't need to bar swap if you don't want to. Okay, let's quickly do some other housekeeping. The Mundus I'm using is the Thief for extra critical chance. For food, I like Mistral Banana Bunny Hash, Melon Baked Parmesan Pork, or my standard Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Now we want to gain a truckload of magicka and health with our food. And by the way, while we're talking about food and recipes, one of the dumbest things in the game is that there's no way to search recipes at the crafting station, and they're not even in alphabetical order. So, Zos, please, do better. Now for potions, I'm using the purple Tristat. Any race will work with this build, and as you can see, I'm playing an Orc here, which probably isn't the best. I'd recommend High Elf or Dark Elf for the magicka passives. For the companion, I'm using my reliable Ember as an extra DPS ally. Champion points in the blue Warfare constellation are important, so listen up. Slot Thaumaturge to increase all of our dot abilities by 6%, and we're using a bunch of dots. Biting Aura to increase the AoE abilities by another 6%. Deadly Aim is also slotted for boss fights. And lastly, Untamed Aggression for weapon and spell damage. In the fitness tree, I slot Rejuvenation, Siphoning Spells, which gives us tons of magicka resource, Boundless Vitality, and Fortified for both health and armor boosts. In the craft tree, feel free to pick whatever you like. I lean towards the Gathering and Harvesting stars, but it's entirely up to you which way you like to play. And that, my dear friends, is our first of 2 Frosty Warden builds. Subscribe to this channel and you'll soon hear about my next great Ice Warden, as well as a gold making guide that I have coming for you very soon. You don't want to miss that. Now please leave a comment below with any questions that you might have. As always, I'm Marco. Be kind to one another, have fun playing the Elder Scrolls Online, and keep exploring.